dude, I hate scary movies with my life. I hate scary shit with my life. But fuck it, I like getting scared sometimes because I like to feel a little like little something. You know what I mean?
Today we'll be covering a movie called Longlegs, a movie that solely exists to spite short people. Sorry, kings. Written and
Despite
directed
short people, what you mean?
by Osgood Perkins, a person with a fondness for the tall. He's someone who's been connected to the horror genre for quite some time. Not only with him directing an episode of the Twilight Zone reboot that I forgot even existed, but rather interestingly playing a young Norman Bates in Psycho 2, with this being the second movie in a row that I've covered to have connections to Psycho.
Oh my
This
God.
documentary about daddy long-legged spiders begins in the made-up year known as 1974. We see a car driving up a driveway, which seems to catch the attention of what appears to be an unsupervised little girl at a rural farmhouse. After exiting the house to inspect the car from a distance, she's jump-scared
Oh my God. I did not. Oh my God. I did not make the positive. Little freak ass little Nicolas Cage.
by an asthmatic with long hair, the worst kind of asthmatics. He then bends down to reveal that he's an asthmatic with long hair who just
Oh
happens
my God.
to be Nicolas Cage with various birth defects. It then jumps ahead
That feels ugly as fuck.
from the 1970s straight to the 1990s because the 80s were just a hallucination that never really happened. We're introduced to FBI agent Lee Harker as she's in a briefing where they're being told to knock on random people's doors in suburbia to ask if anyone's seen a middle-aged white man in Oregon. That's where white people were invented.
No cap, bro. I don't like white. No, I'm just kidding. What was I gonna say? Sabor diferente. Damn. Damn. They got the
While knocking
yiddies.
on doors with her assigned partner, Lee gets a strange gut feeling and somehow knows which house to check on thanks to her magical womanly powers, always knowing the right answer being a power that all women possess. Her partner, thinking that it's rather strange that she just so happens to know which house their suspect is in, decides to humor her and knock on the door before a bullet humors the inside of his brain.
Oh
as
my
one
God. He just gets blicked right in front of everybody?
is fired directly into it. Upstairs, Lee finds the man sitting on a bed after a hard day's work of respecting law enforcement, before we then see Lee sitting in a room and being subjected to some kind of test, as the FBI is trying to determine whether or not Lee is psychic, or just a little bit strange. With the most likely answer being probably a little bit of both, Lee is assigned to a case that the FBI have been struggling with for the past few decades. Over the span
Damn, so old boy just deadass just died for no reason. Like, trying to play around. She's like, hey, bro, that food right in here. And oh my
And
God,
with
that'd be
30
so
years
fucked up. I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, fucking my little spirit would be flying up. I'd be like, man, what? That's what I would say.
there have been many cases of family murder-suicides, something that is somewhat normal on account of this being in America. But what's not normal about them is that
That
each
shit
of
is
these
not normal. What the fuck is that? Is this like the like the Pokemon?
scenes was left behind a coded letter, which deciphered would spell long legs, as apparently whoever was behind this had an extreme hatred for the tall. The Netherlands better watch out. What each of the families had in common is that they all had 9-year-old little girls in them who were born on the 14th of the month.
Oh, wait,
being had due
I was born on the 14th of the month. It's the first
to
of the
Longlegs
month.
believing that girls shouldn't reach the age of 10. After going with her boss,
Alright.
Agent Carter, on an incredibly
Damn, that's fucked up, bro. Why you trying to kill it?
appropriate trip to a bar, where he proceeds to become intoxicated like the great boss that he is, Lee is forced to drive him home, because drunk driving is only cool when no one knows you're doing it. While her partner's half cut, she's invited into the house to meet his family. After talking to Agent Carter's wife and daughter, his little girl Ruby invites Lee to come to her birthday party, and because she's overcome with crippling social anxiety in the face of an 8-year-old girl, she agrees to come. Some parties have clowns, hers has a socially underdeveloped FBI agent. After making a new best friend, Lee heads home to her literal cabin in the woods, because this is a mysterious horror movie
Wait,
after all.
is she the same
where
girl from the beginning?
she proceeds to talk to her mother on the phone. Her mother, who can best be described as a little bit weird. My favourite personality trait in women aside, Lee suddenly hears what she thinks is a whisper in her house, which causes her to become scared on account of being afraid of low volumes.
Yo, no cap, bro. Like earlier today, I was like half asleep. No, I wasn't half asleep. I was like awake. But I swear, I heard like somebody sing my name in my ears, and I got like so freaked out and shit. Like I swear.
Suddenly the door knocks, and she draws her
I even said,
weapon,
"What?"
but she
And
never
then
misses
no-
an opportunity
no
to
one said
fire
nothing.
blindly through a door,
No one was at
but
my house.
decides to not open it, because opening doors is for idiots. I just run into them really hard. Looking out of her window, she sees what appears to be a person in the
Oh
distance.
hell nah, bro. This is why we. That's why, like, if I ever live in the fucking woods, I'm having a gun on me at all time, bro. Cause if I see someone, yo, was that a fucking devil behind them, or am I just tripping? That's literally the devil.
horned figure standing behind them. Heading outside, weapon in hand, to confront the strange horny neighbor,
Fuck
she
no.
turns around to see that someone is in her house,
Oh my
which she
God.
finds incredibly bothersome on account of being anti-roommate.
Hell no, bro. I'm
Heading
scared.
back
I'm scared. I'm
inside
scared. I'm
to
scared. I'm scared.
execute the squatter, she finds an envelope on her desk addressed to her, saying not to open until January the 14th. She opens it up with a knife to show it who's boss, and after immediately inhaling a bunch of anthrax, she pulls out a birthday card for a 9-year-old, as apparently whoever sent her this greatly misunderstands numbers. Inside the card is the same coded language written on all the other letters found at the scenes,
Oh,
being sent from
I feel like
Longlegs.
I feel like you're gonna go after that one girl she met earlier.
Ink is still wet, meaning that it had literally just been written, but Lee, being the type of person to not really be bothered about that, proceeds to not be bothered about that, and begins decoding the message, ignoring the threat of imminent and extreme suffering. She figures out that the card from her slightly strange pen pal says, "Tell them how you got this, how it came into your head. I'll cut off her hanging milk bluebies and bleed your mummy dead." Strange whispers, horned dudes exposing themselves, and a pinch of trespassing, Lee proceeds to just immediately forget about all of this and neglects to mention it to anyone at the FBI due to the fact that solving cases is actually a bad thing.
Tell them how you got this, how it came into your head. I'll cut off your hanging milk tits and
she's
bleed your
then
mommy dead. Like, she gonna cut off my titties and like, ooh, that
Called to
shit
another
hurt.
scene. A scene which fits the usual Longlegs criteria of having a 9-year-old girl being born on the 14th, with a member of the family going on an absolute rampage because loving families are overrated. The family have been left undiscovered for about a month due to friends
what?
and family believing them to
So there's dead people for a month and no one decided, hey, bro, we gotta go check up
be
on
on
them.
vacation, when in actual fact,
Who the fuck goes on vacation for a month?
the only place that they've been vacationing is heaven. The family have been left to rot for
Maybe.
over a month in a bed, leaving a stain that's going to be really hard to get out, with the father being found on the garage floor. The sheets are pulled back to reveal the decaying remains that are now covered in maggots, as they're hungry growing boys who need to grow up to be big strong flies. Originally, Lee was brought on to investigate the previous incidents, but now that another one has occurred, solving them is going to become her #1 priority. Well, and attending a little girl's birthday party. Due to being stretched for time, she calls up her mother again, telling her that she's not going to be able to attend an event they had been planning, with her just kind of forgetting to warn her about the whole deep breasting threat and the presence of the ASMR
Oh wait, so
whisperer
the
in
fool was
her
trying to get her mom's.
Doing her job as an FBI investigator and doing some FBI investigating, Lee's trying to figure out a pattern with the Longlegs killings and draws a line through the dates that they occurred and discovers that together they create an inverted triangle because shapes are evil and must be destroyed. An inverted triangle often being associated with being the sigil of Lucifer because he's
the
a really
fuck?
big fan of triangles and eternal torture.
Yeah, why is
After
the devil a big fan of triangles, bro? It's like, this is weird. Like every time I see, I be seeing people with the little devil sign and shit on the on the
Send
arms
her
and shit. I don't know if
horny
that's like, oh, I don't know if it's devil or not, but got the bio. Damn, what the fuck does it got a bio at this concert, bro? I should have went. Everyone dressed so gay.
Once again, she decodes the rest of the messages from the previous Longlegs scenes and notices a lot of references to a specific family killed back in the 70s, with it saying X marks the spot because they're going on a pirate-themed treasure hunt. With that case, a local priest had come to visit the family, but due to the father not being particularly fond of priests, decided to bury an axe into him, his wife, and then himself.
Oh my
With
god.
this case being different, with his daughter Carrie Ann being the only survivor due to her being at school that day, because school saves lives. Lee believes that maybe Carrie Ann could have seen Longlegs that day, and due to her currently being housed in a psychiatric facility, those odds are quite likely.
Oh, imagine that's always been. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Imagine, dude. That's always been my worst fear. Me going to school one day and coming back and everyone's just dead or gone. You know what I'm saying? They just don't come back. Like that shit was always one of my worst fears.
And due to her currently being housed in a psychiatric facility, those odds are quite likely. Like, dude, learn how to blend your makeup.
Oh my god.
Lee and Agent
That's what's so
Carter
ugly.
drive out to the family farm where the killings occurred, but find the place completely empty due to the entire family already being killed 20 years ago. But upon further investigation, they discover X's marked on the door of the barn due to subtlety not exactly being Longlegs' strong suit. Kinda hard to, I guess, when your speciality is family extinction. The X's lead them upstairs to the final boss of the X's.
What is this,
Jesus
Slenderman?
Christ, as they find a crucifix
What
nailed
the
to the
fuck?
floor, almost as hard as Jesus' hands were nailed to that cross. Underneath the floorboards, they find the definitely not belongings of a serial killer as they pull out a life-sized doll of a little girl that proceeds to open its
oh my
eyes on its
God.
own. No,
Oh my
thank you.
god. Oh my
You can
god. Oh
put
my
that
god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh
Forensics
my that shoot. Oh my god. I wouldn't. Oh my
discover
god.
that the doll is handmade and has been created with extreme skill. They discover that the hair is in fact human hair, and that a metal
Ew.
ball was found inside the doll's skull, due to it being
Ew.
common knowledge that little girls store metal balls in their skulls. A ball that appears to be giving off some kind of frequency, despite it being completely hollow, which for some reason causes Lee to begin thinking about snakes. As you do. We then see Longlegs in a workshop with the doll, a doll
Oh my
that
god,
he
fuck
refers
that.
to as Carrie Ann, before covering it with a blanket, because that thing is terrifying and I don't want to look at it anymore. Speaking of terrifying little girls, we then see the car that the little girl had seen outside of her window at the beginning of the movie, and we see that it's being driven by
Hey,
Longlegs.
low key. For what this fool is, he low key keeps his car in a good condition.
A
He
man
could really like flip that shit. You know
who
what?
appears to
Good,
be living the
get some good prices out of it. Cause look at it. It's like it looks almost better than it did. Like it looks almost better than it did in the beginning. Look.
beginning of the movie, and we see
And
that
low key got a nice ass interior and shit. I mean, I guess it makes sense because we making dolls and shit. So why would a motherfucker be making like really accurate dolls? Like, why would they make like, why would they have a dirty car? You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. But then again, he is a serial killer.
it's being driven by Longlegs, a
You got antlers on this
man
thing?
who appears to be living the dream as he walks into a store wearing slippers and a bathrobe and proceeds to be incredibly weird to the cashier
fuck?
like a Reddit mod trying to flirt. And while driving away, we see why Nick Cage was cast in this role as a strange person, as Nick Cage proceeds to be his normal usual self and begins randomly screaming at things. With Nicolas Cage
Yo, low
being
key, I
one
be
of
doing that shit too. I just be sometimes like whenever I was going to whenever I went to Texas, there's these fools passing us in the highway. I looked at them. I went and I started doing the flight
those
lab, bro.
actors where it's hard to tell if he's genuinely a genius or just a little bit brain damaged. At the psychiatric hospital, Lee and Clark learn that
Oh
Carrie
my
Ann
god,
had
I
been
hate
about
when
to
motherfuckers
send-
have their hands like this, like they be talking like, oh my god, like, you know what I'm saying? That should be like making me weirded out a little bit
as a
too.
piece of broccoli for the past few years, but suddenly the other day, after receiving a
Motherfucker move
visitor,
with hand
she
weird
seems
and
to
shit.
have completely come back to reality.
We're
with
moving
her
like a
waking up
vampire.
the same day that the doll was discovered beneath the floorboards,
Hell no,
with the
bro,
doll's
fuck.
eyes opening, representing Carrie Ann waking up. Or something. They check the visitor log to discover that who had come here to see Carrie Ann that day had put their name down as Lee Harker, as apparently she's unlocked the special ability to be in two places at once. They ask Carrie Ann about her parents, where we then see in a flashback that the doll was in the house, and underneath her blanket, its eyes had lit up red. Her mother apparently hated her due to having complications at birth that required
Upside
surgery,
down crust,
causing her
head
to
of
have
my neck.
serious disdain
Is that
for a
Jenna
little
Ortega?
person who didn't even ask to be brought into the world. So much disdain, in fact, that
What
the
the
mother would
fuck?
repeatedly stab the doll that resembles her daughter, with
the
this doll
fuck?
apparently taking it personally. Carrie Ann's father then lets the priest into the house before helping him find God, before doing the same thing to his wife as she looks straight at her daughter's doll. And much like you stumbling
the
across
fuck?
my YouTube channel, Agent Clark is asking himself,
Yo, I
how
don't
he
even know what the
got
fuck
in this
happened. Why the fuck
situation
Bill
in
Clinton
the
back?
first place? How come a series of crimes that have been unsolved for the past 30 years have suddenly begun to pick up steam the moment a psychic has arrived? And how does the killer know her name? I'll tell you why. Because Osgood Perkins told you so, and you will enjoy it. Carter has been doing some digging into Lee's background and discovers an old police report from the mythical decade of the 1970s, the day before her birthday on the 13th, of Lee's mother calling the police to report a trespasser, described as someone tall and pale, like a Scottish person with gigantism, meaning that much like the girls from all of the other cases, Lee's birthday is also on the 14th. But if that's the case, how
Yo,
did she
why
and
is
her
how
mother
does this fool know everybody's birthday though? That's like the weird thing. Like, is he like crazy?
survive
Like,
their encounter
is he like tapped in? Is he like a pigeon or some shit? Like,
with Nicolas Cage after his limb
is he
lengthening
like
surgery?
a secret
Wanting
agent?
to find out a little more about this, Lee drives out to her mother's
telling
house,
ya.
and while looking through her incredibly normal collection of insulin and baby teeth,
What
she
the
hears what
fuck?
sounds like whispers. Her mum's been talking to the shadow people again. Lee then asks her mother if she remembers her 9th birthday, but much like when you ask your parents
Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with it, bro?
why they beat you as a child,
She got
she
that
seems to have no
ketamine, I don't know what the
recollection of
fuck.
it. Heading into her old bedroom, Lee remembers something that she kept in an old chest of hers, so takes it home to examine properly. A little box containing pictures that Lee used to take, with one of those pictures being of Longlegs on that day that he came to visit her.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Dude, this fool's so ugly.
We see that after taking a picture of Ghost Rider himself after listening to too much of The Cure, he was confronted by her mother, to which he responds by breaking out into song. Because that's what life is really, one big song. a death metal one. After showing the picture to Carter, a manhunt is then underway for Longlegs, as they now know what he looks like, where he's discovered standing next to a bus stop with 2 suitcases. He's taken
Yo, oh my god, this feels so ugly.
in for interrogation, and rather unrealistically for American law enforcement, isn't beaten into a coma because this movie is cop propaganda. He tells them that his real name is Dale Cobble
Stupid cop propaganda.
before he
Stupid
begins
ass face
talking
ass.
about Lee. And by talking about Lee,
Yeah, no manches, this fool thing a todo baba ahí con tu
I mean, he
mouth.
proceeds to get a little bit weird before singing Happy
Boca.
Birthday for 25 minutes straight, while simultaneously crying, bringing back repressed memories of my 7th birthday party. Due to the FBI
I feel like he gonna
having
get this fool, the
no
sheriff
actual
or whatever,
physical evidence
the main dude. You know what I'm talking about?
linking him to any of the crimes, Lee
The
theorizes
one who the daughter who she met. He gonna try to get their ass.
that he must have had help from someone who the families would have trusted to bring into their homes, who doesn't look like a 45-year-old goth splashed with puddle water. Going to talk to Longlegs and seeing his surprisingly normal length legs, he begins to cry at the sight of Lee, as that's just how he is around women. But once he begins to talk about the work that he does, his entire demeanor completely
What the
changes.
fuck?
He proceeds to give a full-on Nick Cage performance, once again solidifying the fact that he was absolutely perfectly cast in this role, due to Nick Cage being an actual crazy person. After Lee asks him who's this person
Is
who's
Nick
been
Cage
helping
actually
him all
crazy or
this time,
some
and
shit?
who is the person he keeps referring to as the man downstairs, Longlegs tells her to ask her mother, because mums really do know everything. After saying Hail Satan like an edgy
What the
14-year-old
fuck?
boy, he proceeds to repeatedly and violently slam his own head into a table until he cracks his own skull open like a piñata, so Lee
Ugh.
can see what he's been keeping inside of it. Blood, it turns out. With it being the second head that she's unexpectedly and non-consensually seen the insides of in the last few days, Agent Carter proceeds to add on to the good news by telling her that Carrie Ann has jumped from the roof of the psychiatric facility, and unfortunately she didn't drink enough Red Bull. Another FBI agent, Agent Browning, accompanies Lee to her mother's house to bring her in for questioning about possibly seeing him that day.
What the fuck just happened? Why the fuck did this fool just kill himself in GTA? Allegedly. What was the fucking point?
When Lee was a child. But after arriving, Agent Browning stays in the car so Lee can do it alone, before we see her mother walk up to the side of the car armed with a shotgun and
Oh,
pulling
no,
the
no, 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 no,
as
no,
Lee
no.
leaves the house because she thinks
Not-
Agent Browning is randomly
Not the ABG.
shooting things again. The silhouette of the devil can be seen standing behind her, as this guy really hasn't got anything better to be doing. After watching her mother walk around to the other side of the car and firing into it again, Lee chases after her and finds her pointing it directly at a little girl, because children require too many resources.
What
But
the
as Lee
fuck? What's wrong with her moms?
approaches, she discovers that it's a life-size doll of her child's self before her mother blows its head off, causing Lee to fall to the ground and lose consciousness because that was her favorite doll. It then goes back to that day in the 1970s
What the fuck just happened? So you telling me her mom's was in this shit the whole time?
when Longlegs visited, as being narrated by Lee's mother reading her a bedtime story. One day, a doll maker arrived at their house, a doll maker who used to create dolls with the help of the devil. Oh, Lucy down there. As a child, Lee witnessed Longlegs tying up her mother as the doll watched with red eyes as he's about to kill them. But in exchange for both of their lives to be spared, the mother would have to begin working for him, while the presence of the doll would warp Lee's mind, causing her to not be able to remember the events properly. A real shame indeed, because who wouldn't want to remember meeting Nicolas Cage? Ever since then, to avoid her and Lee being burnt in hell for eternity, she would work for Longlegs dressed up as a nun and drop off various different dolls at family homes, as she would say that they were presents from the church. And technically they are presents from the church, just not the Christian one.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this movie? So you telling me the devil was possessing this ugly ass fool just to get people got? Like what? Like you could just
Once the dolls were in the houses, Lee's
Get
mother
ghosts or
would
some
sit
shit,
back
I don't
and
know.
watch as the devil's presence inside of the dolls would begin to manipulate the family's brains, causing them to spend some quality family time together. Waking up to
Oh
the
my
sound
God,
of the phone
that's so
ringing,
fucking
Lee
weird.
realizes that she's now actually in Longlegs' house and in his workshop. But heading up the stairs towards the sound of the phone, she realizes that she's actually in her mother's house. He's
The
been living
fuck?
in the basement this entire time. Answering the phone and hoping not to hear an Indian accent saying that she needs help with tech support, a demonic voice tells her that she's late for Ruby's birthday party, while her mother is nowhere to be seen. And after driving to Carter's house after finding Longlegs' car hidden
I
on
knew
the
they were
property,
trying to
she
get
arrives,
they trying
but
to get
she's
my
too
girl
late.
Ruby out of
The
there,
mother
bro.
is rather kind
They
to
gotta
her,
get
dropped
my
off the
boys
kids
out of
on
there, you know
behalf
what I'm
of the
saying?
church, while telling Lee that they all must die, otherwise the parents of them will twist and rot in hell for eternity, which doesn't sound all that fun really, because Lee couldn't think of anything worse than having to spend eternity with her mother. Already being controlled by the devil, Agent Carter takes his wife into the kitchen to cut up the
Wait,
birthday
like Jordan Carter?
cake, but somehow manages to confuse her human body with baked goods, before coming back in the living room to do the same to his daughter. Lee,
Oh
not
my
exactly
god,
being
he fucking murked his wife.
fan of that, fires at him and puts him down, with her mother then standing up to deal with the girl herself, causing Lee to turn around and fire into her as well. Lee goes to shoot the doll, because dolls are for babies anyway, but she has no shots left. Not thinking of any other way she could possibly destroy a piece of plastic, the movie comes to an end with her just kind of staring at it, as possibly the doll has begun to corrupt her mind as well.
Dude, what the fuck is this movie?
So before this video comes to an end,
What the
I'd like
that shit gonna give you nightmares, bro. Like that shit, like that ass scary. Like
to just give a massive
that's
shout
like
out and a big
disturbing.
thank you to all of the
That's not even
YouTube
scary,
members
bro.
and
That's
patrons,
disturbing.
the
Like,
people who every
well,
month
I'm
continue to go
scared
out
though.
of their
No cap.
way
Like
to help
I ain't gonna
support the
cap.
channel. If you're interested